Hello everyone, it's Michaela here, your joy coach. I hope you are doing super well on this beautiful day. Whenever you're listening to this, I hope you're finding some beauty in it. This is the live Joy of Tarot, and I will be, oh hello Renee, how are you dear friend? I will be inviting the one and only Lisa Tancredi of we will see, but hopefully I can get her in. Hang on. Drum roll, please. Okay, so she and I started this particular video series. Oh, there she is. Hello, Lisa.
How are you?
I'm super. How are you today?
Awesome. Where was your vacation? You said you just came back from vacation.
Yes, we took the kids down to Tennessee. We did some Nashville, we did a family wedding, and then we did Dollywood. So we just had a really great time with a lot to do and nowhere to be for the most part. So it was very relaxed and very just
awesome.
Immersive. Yeah, it was really great. So I'm kind of riding the wave of being present and holding on to that feeling that we have in vacation mode where we can be ourselves and we can be in that space. Yeah. So I'm resisting the urge today to like jump right back in with a fierce mentality and yet still trying to get all the things done.
Good. Let the fierce mentality.
That's right.
Wait for another time. I have something on my screen that says send a request to be in your live video.
Oh.
Does that make sense to you?
Nope.
Okay.
None of this usually does, but you know,
Good.
we just gotta go with
I was like, I don't understand why I have to request.
Maybe I requested it twice.
Oh,
but nonetheless, all good.
Whatever.
I'm like with this whole Instagram live thing, it's just a reminder to just keep trying.
I think exactly.
And just kind of
roll apart, right?
Yes. So, how are you today?
Awesome. Good. Doing really well. Doing really well.
Good. So how do you want to do this? We have 2 or 3 visitors joining us. We can see if anybody wants to request a card or if you have one you want to pull.
How about we ask if anybody has a number? It's between 1 and 22.
Okay, perfect.
Because I have 22 cards that I pull out from, and I will just go down. I have them in a little fan, and I'll just go and count them out. So if anybody puts a number in, we'll use that.
All right. Renee or Nicole, those are 2 of my friends that just joined. So nice. Between 1 and 22, ladies, what you got? And remember, you're pulling this card for you, but you're also pulling it for us because we are
for everybody who's going to see it. It's going to be exactly what they need. 19. All right. So 22, 21, 20, and 19.
Oh, Here we go. Then we got a 7 as well. So
we got a 7. All right. Okay. And now 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. My cat wants to join in as well. Absolutely. Do you hear her in the background?
all are welcome.
All right. So we're going to start with 22 with 19. 19 is temperance. All right. So temperance is about the fact that you can use, the best thing to do is to use your everyday situations to be able to lift your vibration above them. So in other words, let's use a challenge of everyday life, right? You stub your toe, really simple. You stub your toe. You can use that to help you not go into the misery or the suffering around stubbing your toe.
Okay.
You can use that to decide. You have 4 creative forces, 4 creative powers, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your words. They all create. They're not just how we navigate, they're how we create.
Okay.
And the temperance is saying, use them all consciously to create the feeling, the thought, the action, and the word that you would like to have come back to you. So you can stub your toe and then jump off the cliff and then suddenly everything's falling apart. You're like, you hate everything and you're mad at your husband. Yeah. And you can't believe this car isn't working and all this sort of stuff, right? That can be the beginning. Or it can be, how about I try right now to find a different way of responding. Instead of reacting, I'm going to respond. And these little things, you think they mean nothing. They are very helpful because when you get better at stubbing your toe, you're going to get better at crashing your car. You're going to get better at any other thing that is bigger and bringing other things to you, and you're going to get better at handling them. So start by handling small things really well. These are the tests and the trials. These are the places where you go, oh my God, I stubbed my toe. Do I want to jump off the cliff and hate this whole world? Or do I want to just say,
move beyond?
I'm going to move on. Exactly. It's time for me to move on. It's time for me to keep a balance and order in my life.
So I have two thoughts real quick. So the first one is, when you said better, like get better at, you don't get better at getting into a car accident, crashing a car.
But no, I don't.
What you expanded, but you expanded and then you said get better at handling it. And that is so, because my brain went, oh gosh, I have to get good at crashing a car.
No.
I mean, it's a very simple version, right?
No.
But it's to translate it to say, get better at handling it, because you're going to stub your toe, you're going to crash the car, bad things happen.
Things happen.
And if we judge it as I'm good or bad at doing this, then we prolong the suffering of being in that space. But if we can then say, I stubbed my toe, that sucked. I don't want to relive the agony of stubbing my toe for the next 45 minutes. So let me just acknowledge, recognize, say, oh, I'm glad that's over, and kind of move on. Or what are my options? How can I move on in the case of the car accident? How do I handle this? What are my resources? What can I do? So that was one of my first thoughts, because we are so quick to just say, I'm not supposed to get upset that I stubbed my toe. It's just a stubbed toe. But it's okay to feel it, to think it, to say it, all of those four facilities, if you will.
And move through it. And move through it. Don't stay there. You can't stay there. And this is part of this card is asking, what if every single one of the challenges that you have is absolutely perfect, that there is nothing wrong with you stubbing your toe or crashing a car or any other thing? What if this is exactly what you needed right now to be able to get to the next place for your mastery of yourself, for your elevation of your own vibration, to bring a whole different level of being, ways of being in this world, right? So the stubbing of your toe is a challenge and an opportunity at the exact same time. So take it as being a perfect challenge and opportunity at the exact same time. Oh, I love it that you love that. That's great.
And thank you, Nicole. And I love that. Because if we want to get, quote, good or better at dealing with a car accident, we have to practice with the toe stub. So when people are like, you have to practice gratitude, it's not this like super hokey pokey thing of, oh, I'm so grateful I stubbed my toe. It's no, I'm grateful I have what it takes to get through it. I'm grateful for the resources to move beyond. I'm grateful it was only a stubbed toe, so that our brains can get into the practice of flexing the muscle of saying, not that I'm grateful I got into the car accident, but I'm grateful I have the resources, the things I need to move beyond it. Right.
And the thing is, at a certain point, you're going to be grateful that you got into the car accident, because it's going to bring you something. It's going to bring you a broader understanding. It's going to somehow challenge you to find a different way of looking at the world, so that you don't judge the car accident as being a problem, right? It's not a problem. It is an opportunity. It is a challenge without a doubt, but it's not imperfect. There's a perfection to it. So look back in your life right now. There were times in your life that were really hard, that you had huge challenges in front of you, right? And you learned something. Maybe you made a horrible mistake. Maybe you did something you really shouldn't have done, or made a decision you didn't like. Right. Now you look back at that, and you are the person you are because you went through that and you took the lessons forward with that. So this stubbing of the toe is just a lesson that you're taking forward, right? It's just you haven't gotten to the forward part. This crashing of the car is a lesson you're taking forward. You just haven't gotten to the forward.
Right, because if we sit there and we're mad for 45 minutes that we stubbed our toe, of course we're still in that moment. Of course we're still in that agony and suffering. Of course we can't let go and move on. And it also makes me think of the conversation we started with, trying to keep my vacation mode mentality, right? If I stub my toe or whatever the little thing is, today, how do I keep that vacation mode? It's okay. I have the time. I have the space, whatever it might be. And that's the practice, right? That's how you get, quote, better at stubbing your toe, is being aware that I can keep vacation mode. I can be fulfilled. I can be present in this moment because I know I can stub my toe and move on to something better. I know that if we get lost on vacation, we're going to figure it out. We'll find our way, just that space to know anything is possible. And
that nothing really ever goes wrong. I'm going to go back to this all of the time because there's this idea out there that we can not be on our path, on our true path. And there's no way for you not to be on your true path. Now, there is
you can make it bumpier
for you to be on your joyful path or your miserable path, right? Those are actually options. You can decide, no, I would really rather sacrifice myself for work or for whatever, for some career or some thing or person, right? And then make your life and your world more miserable. And as you become more miserable, you choose more miserable things, more misery comes to you, because that's what you're saying to the universe. The energy is, I would like to be at this level, and that's what's going to come back. But you can always, always, always choose your joyful path.
Let's let that sink in for a second.
Yeah. It's
a big
deal.
Forget we have the choice, right? We forget we have the choice. And even in that example of stubbing the toe and suffering in that for 45 minutes, that's your choice.
Yeah.
Yep. You get to choose how you suffer. Suffering is suffering. Like it's going to hurt. I'm not going to deny people the feeling that it hurts to stub your toe.
Yes.
But pain does not last forever unless we tell it to. I mean, yes, there are some perpetual pains. I'm not, trying to discredit that in that way, but it's all in how we handle it and interact with it. So thank you for that. And I really thank you for Renee. I've kind of needed that card today. What about number 7? Nicole?
7. Number 7. Okay, number 7.
Oh, and Micheline joined us. Hello.
Hi. Hello. All right, number 7 is justice. Right.
Okay.
Now, justice is one of my spiritual teachers says that has a quote from a man whose name I don't remember, but the quote was that justice is the soul of the universe. Right. That nothing ever happens that is not then evened out, balanced out. Now, it might not be that you see the balancing out. It might not be that it happens in the way that you want it to be, because we have a human sense of justice. But you cannot not pay for what it is that you do. It might look like people don't have to pay for what it is that they do. No one gets away with that. No one gets away with being cruel or manipulative without it coming back to them. And in fact, the truth is, if you desire or decide to be cruel or manipulative to another person, the first person you have to be cruel and manipulative to is yourself. In order to get to that energy level, you have to do it first to yourself. Before you get angry at somebody else, you have to raise up that energy of anger and misery in you before you give it to somebody else. So it's not just you're going to put it out there and then it's going to come back. It's before you even put it out there, you're creating it in yourself. Exactly.
Talk about ownership. Talk about,
yes.
Whew. Okay, so what does that mean for us? Like, what does that mean in our practice, right? Because all of my big thoughts just went to global issues and, the historical figures who are just beyond understanding in our human way, right? Mm-hmm. So, but if we bring it back down to today, to the stub toe, right, level of conversation, what does that mean for us, right? Because, okay, I get it. Like, I have to believe that the bad people doing the bad things and the big picture will get theirs. But how about my daily interactions?
I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Do you mean like the people that you deal with every day?
How do I own this? Like, how do I bring this into my day-to-day and turn my encounters into understanding or peace with this? Or is it supposed to do something else?
Basically, everything starts with you, right? And you are your first priority, not anybody else, not your children, not your job, not your boss, not your parents, not anybody. You are your first priority. And what happens when you go off balance is that you add to the chaos in the room. You add to the chaos of the situation. So whatever is happening to you, right? Whatever it is, the first and best way to go is to come back to a peaceful, balanced state within you, right? Because when you don't come from that state, okay, let's say you're not in a peaceful balance, and it is very hard at times, right? Then sometimes the best thing to do is to get out of that situation as soon as you can, so that you can come back to a peaceful place and then regroup. But don't make decisions off balance. You need these scales to help you make the right decision. You need this sense of just being seated on a throne, on a place, on an exalted place, in a place of understanding a bigger picture than the person who's giving you a ticket in a driving parking ticket or whatever it is. You need a bigger picture than
interrupting your day.
Exactly. Or the person who swerved in front of you in traffic. It's so easy to go boom, right off balance. And what this is, one of the things that this is telling you is that don't worry about what happens to that person, because that person's karma is theirs to deal with. You worry about what energy you're putting out there. It doesn't matter what the authorities say or do. You make with your own life what you make of it, not what they impose on you, right? So the way that you come back and take that power back is by allowing or understanding or coming back to the place where you have 100% control of your inner self. Because if we make our inner state dependent on what's happening on the outside world, we have lost all of our power. We have lost our ability to choose well. We have lost our ability to connect with inner higher guidance, inner wisdom, any sort of intuition, because we are looking for the outside world to satisfy something that is not satisfiable by the outside world. It is making us dependent on things that are not in our control. But our inner state is 100% in our control. So in a daily, moment by moment, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? Right? The saying and the doing will come out of those. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Am I thinking things that throw me off balance? Am I thinking about things that I don't want to have happen? The more you think about that, I have this image in my mind always of like this big ball jar, and every time I think about something I don't want to have happen, I'm adding water to it, right? And it eventually is going to overflow, right? Like, or am I thinking about somebody in a way that I don't want to think about them? Like, am I thinking about my husband and thinking, you know what, he totally ignored me in this today, and then he didn't honor what it, like the way that I wanted to do this sort of process or whatever it is. If I'm thinking that way, I'm building him up to be that way for me. And then I start,
and you're confirming your own belief, and then you've got confirmation bias, and it's
but I also start to treat him that way, right? And he starts to become that way because we are energetically connected. So if I keep saying over and over again, he is not honoring me, he is not being kind enough to me, whatever it is that going to happen? Of course that's going to start happening. We're going to start feeling that so much that we treat him that way, and he's going to start feeling that energy, and that's going to make him be in a different way as well, because we are energetically so connected. So it's coming back to, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? If you are thinking things you don't want to be thinking, drop the thought, redirect your focus onto your feelings, and then work on lifting those feelings up, because maybe you're feeling just horrible. Maybe you're feeling miserable, maybe you're feeling angry, disappointed, frustrated, whatever. Right?
And if it is a scale and you're only putting the heavy and crappy stuff in and kind of just pushing and weighing it down, this one's empty, right? The one up here, if you can see my hands, is just empty. And I think you answered the question I was asking, right? Like, it's one thing to look at the big things of the world and be like, well, I can't do anything about that, so I'll just try to do me, right? I always throw in a lot of, like, just go local, see what you can do. Renee saying lots of ego. Yes, the ego, I mean, I say this all day long. The ego's only job is to keep us alive. It is a fear-based function, like it just wants to stay alive, to stay connected, to stay safe, right? It's not here to make us happy. So earlier when you were talking about, the confirmation bias of my husband's this, my husband's that, he's always this. Well, now I'm creating and manifesting that. So it's confirming the belief that I have, which tells me I'm right. Where I work with people, I know you work with people, to help get out of that. Well, what if you're not right? What if he's not that? what if, yes, he has an ego, but he also has a soul and a heart and has desires and wants to be seen and treated differently, right? And that this is something that I've gone through in my own personal relationships of, what if they're not actually this way?
Yeah.
What if there is another way? And if I'm putting all my belief in the justice bucket of, I know I'm right about this person, whether it's a historical, political, whatever figure that's making decisions I don't like, or someone I live with and commune with in my daily life, why not just see them as opportunity, as hope, as potential, or just not repeat the bad stuff, right? Like,
or just not see them at all. Make nothing out of them.
And
don't bring them into your consciousness, because when you bring them into your thinking and your feeling, you are literally experiencing them this way right now. It's not something that's coming in the future. If it's something that you like to worry about, right? You're thinking, oh, I don't want, my daughter to fail this test. Well, it's something you're experiencing, her failing that test right now. Right now. As you,
if you have some control over, great. If not, that's just going to hurt and suffer, right?
Exactly.
So
if you're thinking about going back to the first card, if you're thinking in the way that, what if everything is perfect, right?
I was just thinking that.
Right? If everything is perfect, how is this perfect? Because there's always a challenge and an opportunity coming to you together, right? You don't just get a challenge and you don't just get an opportunity. Whatever they are, they're going to come together, right? There's no way to only have one. So what's the perfection in this moment? What's the opportunity here? Where's the place for me to grow? It could be that where you're going to grow is you're going to learn more patience. It could be that where you're going to grow is you're going to learn more compassion. It could be that where you're going to grow is that you're going to learn how to use your power in a different way. It's not necessarily that you decide, okay, I'm never doing X, Y, or Z again. It's that you open up, what are the skills? What are the things that I have 100% control of? And that's your inner state. All of those inner states are all 100% in your control.
Well, and I think too, like, when we make judgments, are we judging them based on current data, right? Are we making our decisions about how we interact with them, how we approach them? I know times in my life when people have been more fragile, right, after the death of a close family member or a major catastrophe or whatever, and I tended to treat them with like kid gloves, right? And now it becomes this dynamic, and fast forward 2, 3, 10 years later, what is the need? What is the dynamic? Are we using good information to see how to balance out this relationship and serve them? Because if the relationship is totally unjustified in that way of one's heavier and the other's just kind of floating, neither people are really winning, right? So I love the idea of
but remember, that's perfect too, because you are learning about this through this period. This is looking bigger step, bigger picture. Why and how is this perfect? There's nothing wrong with you being in that dynamic, because you get to learn your way out and you're going to use it.
That's it. And that's where, like, as long as you recognize that you're always in a dynamic. So it's to always be not evaluating of judgment and constant deliberation, but how is this going for me? What am I expecting? Am I getting it? Am I asking for it? Or what is the gap? And really keeping relationships based on communication, right? So with the example of the husband, your husband, my husband, all of our husbands, if you will, anyone's partner, are they really that way, or is there a better way? And that's a conversation and data gathering of what would work for you, and how can we help the situation be more balanced so there's less stuff. I don't know.
And also another aspect of this card, this Temperance card, is the aspect of testing. That in order, first of all, we'll put them both together. So in order to make a really good decision, you have to first be in balance, right? You have to be, if you're in anger, then the decision, the decision you make is going to bring you more anger, right? If you are disappointed, the decision that you make is going to bring you more disappointment. So you have to start by being in balance and connecting with yourself, right? Asking your inner self, your inner state, your inner wisdom, your higher guidance, what's the next thing for me? What's the thing for me to do or think or say or feel? You can ask any of those questions, right? Then temperance is saying you take the step, right? So let's say you say, what's the right thing for me to do here, right? And I'm not talking about right and wrong. I'm talking about the beneficial thing for me, right?
Right.
What's the thing that's going to feel
Most
right
value add, higher, highest calling.
Yes, exactly. So you get into a calm state. You ask yourself the question you have. You get an answer. You will get an answer. We all get answers. Our biggest problem is that we ignore them, right? So you'll get an answer. And let's say you actually decide to take the step that it says, okay, you take the step. What do you do next? And temperance says, look around and test. See if this works. Is this working this way? Is this working this way? Get more calm. Ask again. What's the next step? That's the path. That's the way you stay on your joyful path, right? Yep. Is by listening, taking one step. You're not making one decision for 20 years, right? It's not what's my career, and then I'm making this one decision and I'm never revisiting it. No, it is, you are constantly revisiting. You are constantly reconnecting with, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? Are these things serving me right now? Should I be thinking? Is it helping me to be thinking about this situation in this way? That's the other part of this.
And
temperance.
And it's just it's just so important to keep checking in with yourself, right? Is this good for me today? Maybe this was good for me yesterday, and today it's not good. And it's okay, as long as don't make any rash decisions, to your point of be in a place of calm, or keep evaluating until you find your place of calm. Because there are so many choices for us to choose all day, every day. And if we are choosing to stay the same, then we have a predictable outcome, right? We will be the same. It will come with a buildup of frustration and burnout, probably. But it's, I love this in my brain. I have so many thoughts in my brain, so I'm trying to keep them simplified right now. I don't know. I think the more that we find the opportunity to get into a place of calm and become a bit more of the observer and see how we're measuring up in our own way, not according to other people, but how we're managing our buckets, and just keeping an eye on them, and not good or bad, but, oh, I see this one's dipping down a little bit. How am I feeling about that? Is there a consequence to that? How do I lift that back up to a healthier place, or whatever the dynamic is? And for me, I find when I ask people these questions about, well, how do you feel about that? It's almost impossible. Like, they have such a hard time answering because we don't often ask ourselves. We don't give ourselves the room to say, I actually don't know how I feel.
Yeah.
Or I do feel, and it can be very, it requires vulnerability to be able to get to that place. Yeah. But I really hope that these conversations, and even just seeing how you and I are moving through, and, these aren't scripted or planned, but this is the experience of being able to say, well, what about this? And I think that, and to process through to a greater place of understanding, because we are on the path, and we really get to choose how we interact with it, and whether it's going to be a bumpy ride. Well, it'll be a bumpy ride.
At times it will.
Always, it'll be a lot of different things. And sometimes we will stub our toes, and sometimes we'll have accidents. But we do keep moving. And the question is, do we keep moving with all the baggage of all the stories, or do we keep creating new ones? And I like the idea of being able to move with the choices, and avoid the judgment of good and bad, and just say, oh, I see that. Now what do I want to do with it? Because I'm still moving.
How do I feel my way through this? How do I see this as being perfect? How do I feel my way through this, so that when I have something angry coming to me, I decide that the reason it came to me is so I can choose not to be angry back. So I can choose to be in that super incredibly balanced place, and not bring up any more of that negative energy that I don't want in my life anymore.
That's right. It's because there will be bumps.
It's going to be bumpy.
Stub our toe.
And it's even worse. So, and
then more.
And the small things are practice for the big things, because the big things are going to come. Big things are going to come.
I have a lot to think about today. This was really good.
Yeah, I know, that was awesome. Doing 2 cards was really good, but boy, it does. really.
Just a lot to think about. So
Yes, it does.
I do download these and put them all up with the And All the Things podcast. If anyone else needs to go back and listen again, I know I will be.
Fabulous.
And what I love about these conversations is that as I go back and listen to them, they apply in different days and on different ways. And it's a really neat thought process to say, oh, well, we were talking about this a few weeks ago. Now what do I think about it?
Yeah.
Because we should be constantly evaluating and challenging ourselves to think in new ways about the encounters and the toe stubs and the celebrations of life.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go think about this stuff.
Okay. Okay. Me too.
But I appreciate you so much sharing the gift that you have worked so hard to find the right ways to communicate and to put out there so that myself and you and all those listening get some food for thought. There's a lot coming at us, and I very much appreciate this little space that we've created to invite people to join the conversation and get a little bit out of it.
It's really fabulous. Thank you so much for building this conversation.
It is
lovely.
Couldn't do it without you, my dear.
Yeah.
So. Well, listen, to all of our friends, wherever you are, hope you make it a great day. To Lisa, thank you so much. I am grateful for the way that you give and serve. And I wish you all a beautiful day.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 1:15.
At 1:15. See you then.
Bye. See you then. Bye-bye.